absolutely blockbuster, monumental, the biggest news literally in the history of my life in pro wrestling, honestly. Vince McMahon has officially retired from WWE. I never thought those words were going to utter out of my mouth. Yet here I am on July 22nd, 2022. Vince McMahon has retired from WWE. He said in a tweet earlier today, about 5 hours ago at this point, at 77, time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever, together. Hashtag WWE, hashtag thankful. So, we are going to get into the weeds of the way this all happened, how it happened, and where we kind of go from here, because we also had some blockbuster news about Vince McMahon's replacements and how those became, or those are going to go into effect absolutely immediately. So, just some quick notes on that. Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan are both going to be co-CEOs, co-chief executive officers of WWE. Triple H is going to take over the EVP of Talent Relations role that was previously held by John Laurinaitis, who was also brought up in these allegations. And then on top of that, we have Bruce Pritchard shifting back down to his role of head of creative. And it looks like it's going to be, at least for the time being, the Bruce Pritchard show. This news, and again, it is monster, blockbuster, monumental. Guys, I cannot understate this. And again, I also feel some type of way about Vince McMahon, and not necessarily in the good way right now, obviously. But the magnitude of this news, what it means for professional wrestling moving forward. Again, pro wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. This, whatever it means for the industry moving forward, and what it means for the past nearly 50 years is absolutely monumental. Because this is the guy of the past 50 years. Vince McMahon in pro wrestling has been the guy. And again, the allegations are stark and they are damning. And Vince McMahon created a culture that was unjust, that was absolutely disgusting, really, when it comes down to it. But that does not change the impact that his departure now from WWE, again, for those who are just joining us, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. But Vince McMahon is retired. He is retired. He said in a tweet that at the age of 77, time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever together. Hashtag WWE, hashtag thankful. He's retired. This is coming off of these NDAs, the sexual, a lot of these sexual harassment, sexual assault allegations, these NDAs that he's had with former wrestlers, these NDAs he's had with former employees now. It is all culminated in Vince McMahon retiring. I see Liam is already in the chat, says, you got no chance, no chance. Ooh, thank you, Vince. I don't know if I'd be saying, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to be the one saying thank you, Vince, Liam, but yeah. There are a lot of people saying that. My one thing that I will say to the thank you, Vince thing is, for all of the great moments, like, there's no doubt about this. There's no doubt about the fact that Vince McMahon is responsible for at least being a part of the creative process to create some absolutely huge moments, like some great moments in pro wrestling history. Like WrestleMania X7 is a masterpiece. Like, anyone who says otherwise, like, I loved AEW All Out. I think it's like probably one of my favorite, like, personal favorite pay-per-views. But WrestleMania X7 is a masterpiece at just wrestling. Like, it, greatest pay-per-view in wrestling history, no doubt about it, right? But that doesn't take away, but what takes away from that, from all those great moments, is one, obviously these terrible, terrible allegations of toxic work environments, of him forcing people into situations, into sexual situations that they did not consent to. it is like that takes away from it, at least for me. What definitely takes away from it from a wrestling standpoint, and again, it matters less compared to those other things, but I know that's what a lot of people do care about. But what takes away from it from a wrestling standpoint definitely is the what ifs. What if Vince McMahon had gone all in on Daniel Bryan from the beginning? What if Vince McMahon had gone all in on CM Punk from the beginning? What if Vince McMahon had let Triple H continue to do his thing in NXT? What if Vince McMahon had let the Nexus go over at SummerSlam? What if Vince McMahon could get over his own ego and let The Fiend be great and make a lot of money doing it? For as many great moments Vince McMahon is responsible for, he's responsible for creating some of the dumbest, stupidest, and absolutely asinine moments in the history of professional wrestling. That is undoubtable. Because and again, people are going to feel some type of way. I don't care. It is very much fair to say that Vince McMahon, especially since the closure of WCW, held professional wrestling back. And I'm not talking about just WWE's product. This is the man who would try to put other wrestling companies out of business. This is the man who tried. He literally AEW's second ever event was Fight for the Fallen. That was a charity event that was supposed to raise money. That did raise money for victims of gun violence. And he was it cross promoted or he counter promoted, I should say, that event. That's the type of mentality this dude has. He's like it for us to say that it's great or whatever. For us to, it's sick. I do think like it's apt to call it sick, but again, that's my point. My overarching point about that. Like for all the great moments he had, he also had just as many, if not more, in my opinion, bad moments. Liam in the chat says, "On location, Omer?" No, I am. Well, here's the thing. This show definitely would have happened like 5 hours ago had I not just heard about. Like, I didn't check my phone. I was like, I'm visiting. I am on location. I'm on assignment, and I was also visiting friends. And I just, yep, I just got back from a very long car ride, and now I am here. But no, this is absolutely monumental blockbuster news. So I got to cover it. I had to talk about it, whether it was 5 p.m. or midnight. I had to talk about it. But I'm here with you guys now. Put your questions in the chat. We'll get to them. Liam in the chat also says he's done some truly bad stuff, but he helped give us the show we watched today. He did. Here's my thing, right? Again, and I said it. He created a lot of good moments that are a lot of moments that we look back at fondly and we're entertained by. But I don't think there's a lot of people out there who are going to say that Vince McMahon is solely responsible for the success of professional wrestling. No, professional wrestling was successful before Vince McMahon. It was more. Here's the thing: the reach of pro wrestling, the reach in as far as the people who consistently were into pro wrestling, was way more before Vince McMahon consolidated power over the entire industry. That's undoubtable. That's just fact. So I think like did he create WWE into a big brand and into a national brand, international brand? Yes, he absolutely did. Kerwin says, na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye, about time. I agree. That's what LeBron James said. Isn't that's what LeBron James said when he won his first title? By the way, I see your Miami Heat thing. He's like, it's about damn time. It's about damn time. Absolutely. Kervin says, fired too many talent for no reasons. The amount of careers this dude ended, like the amount of careers he ended, the amount of storylines that he ended, the amount of creative endeavors that he prematurely ended. I mean, like even in a okay, and I don't like to do this, but for the people out there who still need to hear it, take the allegations, the terrible sexual assault allegations, out of it. Again, I don't want to do it, but for your sake, we'll do the argument. Okay? Take it out of it. This dude is responsible for the greatest decline in ratings, success, popularity in professional wrestling history because he couldn't get his own head out of his butt and actually produce something that most other people enjoy. Because at the end of the day, it was all about him. It was all about what does Vince wants to see. The producers weren't writing for the talent. They weren't writing for the audience. They were writing for Vince. And Vince, believe it or not, likes a lot of shitty stuff, people. He likes fart jokes. He likes ball jokes. He likes, at times, some racist jokes. There's a lot of bad stuff out there about that. But either way, Kerbin says, Mr. McMahon, like CM Punk, the problem was Triple H, never CM Punk. We'll get to Triple H because I think Triple H fits into this in a way that the entire landscape of professional wrestling, by the way, is changed by this. I want to be clear. I want to be crystal clear. This is the biggest news in the history of pro wrestling. Like, maybe go back to, okay, the only thing I can really think in modern sense, like let's say golden era, WrestleMania era. Let's start from the first WrestleMania in 1985. From then on, the only story I can think of that even comes close to this, and it's still not as big as this, is the closer of WCW. That's it. The amount of power Vince McMahon didn't only hold in WWE. We know what that means. The amount of power Vince McMahon holds over the entire industry of professional wrestling, has held over the entire industry of professional wrestling, insurmountable. The only way, I've been on record saying this, Vince has been on record saying this, people who have worked for Vince McMahon have been on record saying that the only way that Vince McMahon would leave WWE is in a body bag. Because the man is going to be in the chair till he dies. I believed it up until literally I heard it. Even when all of this stuff happened, I always thought that Vince was going to somehow, some way, just avoid all of this. Because he's been avoiding all of these types of allegations. He's been avoiding all of this stuff for nearly like 30 to 40 years. So, I mean, it's just the fact that it's a reality. Like, if you would ask me, right, yesterday, oh, Vince McMahon's going to retire tomorrow, and he's no longer going to be part of creative. Like, people are kind of confused about what this means. Is he retired as CEO? Is he retired as chairman? Is he retired as creative? All of it. Gone. He's gone. He is retired from pro wrestling. He's retired from WWE, I should say, but, who knows? We'll get to some chats real quick because we do have another monumental story to talk about. I mean, this puts to shame all other wrestling stories, honestly, ever. Before I do get to the other story, I do want to go through some of these chats. Liam says, if Vince Ass leaves, where is Theory's mouth gonna go? Just kidding. I freaking love Theory. I know you do. Liam says, who remembers the theory that Vince? Wait, what? Who remembers the theory that the Vince that we saw just a character and the Vince is real? Okay, I don't know what you're saying here, my friend. Liam also says Vince is still gonna somehow have a say in WWE through staff, whether it be Triple H or others. I have a few thoughts on that, and I'll get to those. I think that's actually a good point. I will get to that in just a little bit. Before I do want to remind everyone to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. You bet your sweet bippy we're going to be doing a lot more content about this story and the stories that are coming out of this. There are absolutely monumental stories that are coming out, and one of them is about Brock Lesnar. We got Lisa Gomez in the chat saying, put some respect on Mr. McMahon. He is innocent. No, he is not. Sorry. I am not going to believe that he is innocent considering his history. Again, this is my opinion. This is not fact. or this is not. He's not been convicted. However, the fact of the matter is, Vince McMahon does have a multi-million-dollar NDA again with an employee that alleged that he forcibly or he forced her in a situation to perform oral sex on her. There are the allegations stemming back to him forcing a former referee to do sexual acts with him in that limo back in the 80s. Like, this is not a new thing. And I don't, and again, innocence, guilt is like, do I think Vince McMahon is going to end up in handcuffs over all this? I actually don't think so. I don't, because it's just powerful people just find a way to avoid being held to account. So one of the only ways you can hold them to account is by taking away things like this, taking away the power that they have. He's always going to have the influence. He's always going to have the wealth. He's an elite, right? Vince McMahon is part of the, I know a lot of people on the right and the left, right? Politically. I don't like to get political too much, but it's true. One thing everyone agrees is there is a certain amount of influence that rich, powerful people have. This elite. Vince is part of that. He always has been, and his money is a big factor in why, and his influence over a lot of things are why he has been able to avoid being held to account in the past. The other monumental blockbuster news is that Brock Lesnar walked out of Friday Night SmackDown. Okay. So this is an aggregation from Cultaholic. I'm just going to read this Cultaholic article by Aidan Gibbons. It says, WWE's plans for tonight's Friday Night SmackDown are very much, quote, in flux after Brock Lesnar walked out ahead of the taping in Boston, Massachusetts, a source close to Cultaholic Wrestling revealed. Lesnar was set to be prominently featured on tonight's edition of SmackDown just ahead of his last man standing match with Roman Reigns on the July 30th edition of SummerSlam. The Beast Incarnate walked out of the taping following the Vince McMahon announcement, and he apparently uttered the words, this is from multiple reports, who say, Brock uttered the words, if he's gone, he being Vince McMahon, I'm gone. So, Brock Lesnar, in his own way, showing solidarity with Vince McMahon. It's the same Brock Lesnar, by the way, is married to Sable, who sued WWE like now it's like 15, 20 years ago. But like, sued WWE when she left. So, interesting dynamic, to say the least. But Brock Lesnar being out, this creates another issue of the future of the WWE Undisputed Championship, whatever the hell they're calling it now. This creates a situation where the main event of your second biggest show of the year in SummerSlam is in a huge, huge just cloud of uncertainty. We don't know what the match is going to be now, because Lesnar is one of those guys where Lesnar's like maybe Roman. Like I'm talking about like the people who have been featured prominently as of recently. Roman might be the other guy, but like Lesnar's like really like the one guy who's like, he really doesn't need to be there. He really does not need to be there. He does not even need to be in the limelight. Lesnar's like, he'll go back to his farm in Saskatchewan and have his tens of millions of dollars that he already has, and he doesn't need WWE's money. Like, he can go. He's only here because he wants to do it, and they're also paying him a shit ton of money. Liam says, if Brock's out, Roman retains, and I don't want that to happen. I mean, there's always the scenario. Like, here's kind of like my thing, right? This is an opportunity for WWE to actually make a star, which, guys, Vince McMahon had a very difficult time doing throughout his time. Like, of course, he did successfully make a few stars, right? He did put some people over, but not nearly as many people as he should have. And that's the issue that a lot of people have with Vince McMahon, right? Or from a wrestling standpoint, I should say. Kerwin says, rumors said that WWE called Goldberg. I'm actually getting to that in just a second. I did want to, for a minute, talk about the SummerSlam main event without Goldberg for a sec, but uh, this gives them the opportunity to not do that. Like, I know the Goldberg thing is enticing because I can't do the Vince voice anymore, but you know, like Triple H is gonna be out there like, yeah, we could get Goldberg. Oh, wait, that's Macho Man. You guys know what I'm trying. But no, like Goldberg would be the biggest guy to get right. It would sell tickets, or in their minds, he's the biggest star. He would sell tickets. But they have a chance to make an interesting match. Again, you only have like what 1 week to build. I understand that, but you got 5 hours of TV. You're telling me you can't build some excitement going into a big pay-per-view in 5 hours? You totally can. It's just a matter of how much you're willing to try. So there's some potential of that. Who that would be, I don't know. The other theory that I have involves someone who is actually named Theory, Mr. Money in the Bank. The other thing I have is Austin Theory cashing in his Money in the Bank against Roman Reigns and just absolutely getting walloped, squashed, destroyed in the main event. Destroyed. Like, Roman Reigns takes his time to decimate. It's going to be like the John Cena Brock Lesnar thing from a few years ago. That would be the most satisfying thing to me because I think Austin Theory's not great, but that's the thing. And then you could have someone return and build up to a match with Roman and that person as well. So there's a few different ways that could go, but we'll see. Liam says in the chat, if that's true, I'll be happy. He also says, the way they build excitement is mystery opponent. You can burn a lot of bridges that way too. Like, WWE has an opportunity here. But guys, by the way, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Hitting that like button, you know what it does? It helps more people see the show. It helps build my self-esteem. You guys want to make me happy? You guys want to make me go to sleep happy at night? Here's what you do. You hit that like button, you subscribe, you hit that notification bell. Plugs out of the way. Anyway, also put your questions in the chat. We'll get to those. So yeah, the Brock news is like at the same time Brock leaving because Vince McMahon is retiring is a big deal because Brock is like one of the biggest brand names in WWE and in pro wrestling and in combat sports in general. Like, look at UFC 200. There's a reason they wanted Brock on that show. His motivations for that, I am not going to get into that because, I mean, I don't agree with that. I think it's pretty shit. But yeah, I mean that's a big thing. Tony Khan, by the way, it's just become, again, I'm getting all of this news. Sorry, I know a lot of people probably already know a lot of this. I know a lot of them. I know a lot of people already know this, but Tony Khan apparently weighed in on this indirectly while promoting AEW Rampage. Tony Khan tweeted out when this Vince McMahon news broke. He said, "Thanks to you, the wrestling fans, and your great support of AEW, I'm grateful to now be the longest tenured CEO in professional wrestling. Thank you very much to every single person who watches AEW. See you Friday night on Rampage, TNT Drama." Okay. A lot of people are going to have a problem with Tony Khan doing that. A lot of people are going to be like,
Tony Khan is dancing on Vince McMahon's grave. Tony Khan is being an immature brat.
and here's my thing, right? I'm not going to argue with you that this is quote unquote the mature thing to do, right? I'm not going to argue with you that, Tony Khan might be a little bit, I don't know. I don't know Tony. But like, could he be a brat? Probably, maybe. But my thing is the hypocrisy of someone to say that Tony Khan is acting immature. Vince McMahon is a dude who booked himself to say the N-word on WWE TV. Vince McMahon is a dude who booked himself to get literal feces thrown at him or dropped upon him. Vince McMahon is a man who booked himself into an angle where he made out with one of his employees in front of his wife. It's also the dude who tried to book himself being the father of his daughter's child. Your argument goes right out the window when your entire reason for uh, shitting on Tony Khan is to defend Vince McMahon. Again, that's just the pro wrestling stuff. I'm not even going to get into the allegations here, but yeah, I already talked about those. I feel like Liam says 10-man Rumble or something on Raw to face Liam. That is an amazing idea. And I think like a few people have told me about this. The idea of WWE doing something like a Raw Rumble, it's still wild to me they haven't done that. Like, they have not booked a show called the Raw Rumble ever. It is like, that is a name, that is an idea, a fresh idea that is right there for the taking that WWE have not seized upon. You could do that, you could build a new star, and that would be one of those things where you could just do it. You could just go full send. You could have someone like, I don't know, say, like, again, this is me being very, very, I guess, Homer or whatever people I like, but you could have someone like Ricochet, who's been like obscure, become serious, become a threat, and like really challenge the power of Roman Reigns. You could have someone like Gable, like someone who's been underutilized, undervalued. You have a chance to do that. You have a chance to bring someone like Braun Breaker up and just go boom, Walter, freaking Walter. You could do anything. And it immediately has more credibility because this dude isn't booking it. Because people aren't expecting to be disappointed. That's the thing. Look, WWE is clearly responsible for a lot of the best wrestling moments in history. You know why? Because for the past 40 years, they've really been the only main company. For the majority of that time, at least. Okay? So yeah, of course, during your lifetime and mine, not much else has happened. There's been really no one else to create better wrestling moments until AEW came along. Or if there was that WCW during the NWO era. Or during the like late 80s, early 90s. So, yeah, of course. No stuff, no shiznit, right? But yeah, I mean, like, they got a chance here. I really hope they don't. Knowing WWE at number 10, bro. Yeah, another problematic dude there. Kerwin says, Sasha Banks and Naomi walk out, WWE doesn't say anything, but I promise you. I mean, that's just truth. Kerwin, I'm right there with you. I promise you this. Brock Lesnar walks out. Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, Jimmy Smith, all those guys, Corey Graves, they're not going to be told to bury Brock Lesnar. They're not. And if they are, I will come on this show and I will eat my hat and all that and be like, okay, I was wrong. But there's a 0 chance that happens. Sub-zero chance that happens. And it's primarily because Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. And you know what? It's weird that that's the case. But we all know it's the truth. Brock Lesnar, in their eyes, and in the eyes of a lot of people, is just a bigger star. And look, he is a bigger, more well-known name than Sasha Banks or Naomi. Does that mean that when he does something like that, when he does something that you crucify? Oh, I just hit my lamp here. Sorry. No, that's close. It was that close. He does something that you crucify other talent for. You literally go out there and you try to ruin their reputation. They did it with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then you also think about the fact that, like, the reason why they did it, because he was the one really calling the shots. It was Vince McMahon who was the one who told everyone to bury Steve Austin. It was Vince McMahon who told Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, or sorry, Michael Cole, I should say, what to say about Sasha Banks and Naomi. That was fed to him. We don't know that. With Vince not being there, I think they're going to go a little less profile with all of that kind of stuff. I don't think that they're going to lean that hard into the burying Brock Lesnar, if at all. They're probably not even going to mention him. Liam says, my picks, the last entrant of the Rumble, Cena, Randy if fit, Drew, Seth, Bray. it's not going to be so. It's not going to be Cena. He's apparently off filming something. Not going to be Randy because he's out for like the next 6 to 8 months with a pretty serious injury. Drew, Seth, Bray could be interesting. Bray, I will say this too. With Vince McMahon gone, there is a significantly better chance of Bray Wyatt coming back to WWE than there was just literally 5 hours ago. A significantly better chance. Because one of the biggest reasons that Bray Wyatt and the Fiend character didn't work was because of Vince McMahon's persistence to put his fingerprints on it, to make it his idea instead of just letting Bray create magic. So yeah, there's that. I do think that Bray Wyatt is closer to coming back than he ever was before, and I'm closer to coming back and doing another one of these. Please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Not done yet. Liam says, "Did you see Bray's new Twitter bio?" I did not. We'll check that right now, guys. We'll check out Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, new Twitter bio. But I'm sure it's very trolly. Wyatt6 on Twitter says, "Begin again, kid. It's what you did. It's what you do." Quoting VKM. Interesting. I don't know. Not exactly the time I would quote VKM, but it's what it is. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're going to keep going talking about this news. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, for those of you who have just seen this, Vince McMahon is retired. He has retired from WWE. He is no longer CEO. He is no longer chairman. He is no longer head of creative. He's gone from those positions. In his stead, as co-CEOs of WWE, will be Stephanie McMahon, his daughter, and Nick Khan. As well, taking over the SVP of Talent Relations role that was previously held by John Laurinaitis will be Triple H. So Triple H coming back into the fold. And with this, I mean, again, Triple H's heart issues withstanding, like those are serious issues, and I still don't know if he would be up to the rigor of dealing with both talent relations and a creative role. What I will say, though, is we are way closer to having Triple H's vision of a main roster, or Triple H's vision on the main roster now than we ever were. Especially with Vince McMahon seemingly out of the picture. Does that mean that Vince McMahon can't come back into the picture? I do think there's a scenario where that actually happens. I actually do. Even given the fact that he's 77, even given the fact how serious these allegations are, even given the fact that how apparently serious the board took them, to where Vince felt like he had to retire or he was forced into it. Those are the only two things that happened here. So, interesting. Kervin says, "I give 5% Bray Wyatt to return." I mean, I'd say above 50 at this point. And again, I was a pessimist about that happening, but now I'm yeah, it's there's a higher chance that he goes back to WWE, in my opinion, than he does go to AEW or anywhere else. I think Bray Wyatt is going to end up in WWE one way or another when it's all said and done. And I think he'll have way more creative liberties and freedoms, because I do think it's this weird thing. Vince, because of the different hats he wore, because of how powerful he was in that company, because of him just being Vince McMahon, the all-powerful, all-knowing Vince McMahon, it created a situation where it's intimidating. It's intimidating to go against that, because this dude literally runs everything. With Bruce Pritchard being head of creative right now, there's less, I think, of that pressure on people. I think people are going to take more risks. I think talent are going to take more risks. I think talent are going to want to maybe we'll go off script a little bit. I do think that's going to happen way more than it used to, or way more than it has been happening, because you don't have that one guy who's going to be like, "Oh, you did it, you're fired." I think producers are going to be a little more, at least in the beginning, a little more maybe better at writing. I mean, look, some of them are just shit producers, shit writers, or whatever. But I do think the writers are gonna, maybe write for a different audience. Maybe, hopefully, the right audience, right? Again, I'm trying to be a little optimistic here, but it's definitely gonna change things a good amount. Because at the end of the day, the guy overseeing your creative won't be the same guy who has the ability to directly fire you. Like that, people don't have that same fear with Bruce Pritchard. And I don't know. It could be interesting. Like, definitely, me and a lot of other people. Again, granted, I have not watched SmackDown yet, but I'll say this: me and a lot of other people are way more interested in WWE now than we were when just a few hours ago. Like, this is absolutely bonkers news. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, put your questions in the chat, put your comments in the chat as well. We'll get to those as well. We have a chat from, here we go. We have a chat from, Nigla K, saying, goodbye, peace sign. Vince, don't let the door hit you on the way out. This is the best news we gotten in a long time. Now WWE will be good again. Very well possible. It's possible. I think, like, again, it speaks to, like, that not having that fear there, and maybe the writers writing for a different audience. I think those things are possible. The flip side of it is that Bruce Pritchard permanently becomes the guy who's head of creative, and I don't know how great that's going to be. There's going to have to be a change at that position at some point, whether it be Triple H bringing back his own guys, him bringing back Road Dogg, him bringing back other people, him bringing up someone like a Jeremy Borash. I think Jeremy Borash, whether it be creative or even better yet, like Jeremy Borash doing something with like with TV. Like, again, the other part of this that I haven't even gotten to, like, again, there's so much. The reason why this is such a big story is because this affects so much in professional wrestling. The other part of this that we haven't even talked about is how this is going to affect Kevin Dunn's future. Because one of the biggest, if not actually the biggest reason that Kevin Dunn was still in WWE and still has been in WWE has been because he was Vince McMahon's guy from the beginning, producing those early WrestleManias, producing WWE TV for 30 years. He's been at Vince's side. That has been his guy. That has been his director, right? Vince is the producer, right? He puts it all together. He's the writer. Boom. Like Kevin Dunn in his eyes is like his Tarantino, right? But with Vince being gone, and with Kevin Dunn really not being a well-liked figure by a lot of people, especially Triple H, I think Kevin Dunn's future in the company is closer to the end, more than we even thought just a few hours ago. Kay in the chat also says, I hope they put Paul back in creative. Paul Heyman in creative. I think that is always going to be an option for WWE to do. There's always going to be a very good reason to have Paul Heyman part of creative. He is a brilliant mind, and without being bogged down, I think him and Triple H, if they were able to collaborate and Triple H was able to kind of set the vision and Paul Heyman was able to put his input in and go out there and execute it, that would be, I think, a great scenario. Because the issue with Triple H is his heart. Like, the dude has to wear a defibrillator, or he has a defibrillator. Like that's a big deal. Like, it's and he can't be in high key stressful situations. So, yeah. I mean, so again, a lot of still things to be worked out there. Liam says Brock is on SmackDown and just F5 Theory. Well, there you go. I mean, again, I'm not watching SmackDown. Have not watched SmackDown. I'll watch it tonight. I'll end up watching it like afterwards. But this is massive news. Guys, we're heading down the home stretch. We're heading down to the end of this. There will be more videos. there will definitely be more live streams. We'll do this again. Cincy in the chat finally is here. I'm late as hell. It's hilarious. I thought you fell asleep like 6 hours ago. So you probably would have woken up the next day and be like, oh my God, what did I sleep through? No, but yeah, Vince McMahon gone. He is retired from WWE, and the future is insane. Guys, yeah, wow. I'm like also like reading the news right now, and as it's breaking and as this is coming in, this is wow. Wow. Okay. So looks like Brock Lesnar and WWE figured it out because obviously Brock Lesnar's here. Like he's at WWE. I just watched it. Okay, yeah, Lesnar F5 theory. So looks like Lesnar versus Roman is likely still on. They figured that out, but still absolutely bonkers news. Like not bonkers, but as you know, it's bonkers. It's like to think about that Vince McMahon, the literal mob boss of professional wrestling, is going to be gone. NK in the chat says, "Cause Paul did an amazing job. Now we can finally get that forbidden door." I'll say this much. With Vince McMahon gone and Tony Khan like showing that he's willing to play ball, we are way, way closer to an AEW WWE. I'm not gonna say super show, but collaborations. I think there's a lot more room for that now than there ever has been. And there's always been the incentive there to do it. It's just Vince McMahon has just always been against that. I think with this new regime of Stephanie McMahon, Nick Khan especially, like people underscore Nick Khan's importance in all of this. He's gonna want to build those partnerships. He's gonna want to sell out arenas. He's gonna want to like have that collaboration. I think like he's been known to do that. I think it'll happen one way or another, like at least to an extent, like beyond just AEW allowing wrestlers to be involved in the documentary or a video or vice versa. I think there's going to be a lot more collaboration moving forward, or at least chance of collaboration in some way. Like they will collaborate. I will say this: my bold prediction is WWE and AEW over the next 2 to 5 years will in some way collaborate on something outside of just these one-off like videos and documentaries. That will happen. Liam in the chat, or sorry, Cincy in the chat says AEW WWE WrestleMania collab one day. Hey, we're way closer to it than we were just like this morning. So I mean, wow. I mean, like my parting thoughts on this is kind of like similar to how I opened up. The idea, like, I want to again just reiterate, I guess, like why this is such a big deal. And again, we will have way more discussions on this. I'll try to bring some people on like over the weekend and stuff to talk about this and in more depth. But the idea of Vince McMahon being gone from WWE and it again was not his death. Like genuinely. I and basically everyone else out there believed that the only way Vince McMahon would leave WWE, would leave creative, would be through his own demise, like his legitimate own death. And the fact that we're sitting here, he's 77 years old, he's relatively healthy, and he's gone from WWE is crazy to think about. But it also shows you, I think, again, it shows you that when people do support people who have been through the things that Vince McMahon is accused of doing to these women, when you support them, when you call out this BS for what it is, and when you make a big deal about it, it can make a difference. Because when you care, these companies, these corporations, the all-powerful, influential elite, they are going to be forced to eventually take action and in some meaningful way. And now, should Vince McMahon have been allowed to be near talent after these initial allegations came out? Hell no. Should Vince McMahon have been allowed to get away with this for as long as he did? Hell no. But we're in a lot better position as far as, I think, an industry. We're in a lot better position as a society for holding these people to account one way or another. You can't take away the past. Like, you genuinely can't. There's a lot of blame to be thrown around, but knowing that we can't change the past, one of the things you can do is hold people account right now in the moment that we have control over. And I think that has been done. Are we over? Is the saga over? We haven't beaten this I guess disease of people in power abusing that power. It's unfortunately probably going to exist for a long time. We just have to make sure that we continue to go in a direction that is better. That is just better. It treats people better. It treats employees better. And it doesn't put them in those situations where they're forced to do ungodly things for people in power. And again, that is me speaking from the heart on this thing. As a professional wrestling fan, it is like these allegations obviously like disgusted me and worried me, because like I, at the end of the day, have to sit by and be like, I watch a show run by that dude. Not great. But guys, this has been a time. Last few chats here. NK says WWE is must watch now. Well, I'm definitely going to be watching it in a little bit after I get off the stream. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting experiment. I don't look for too many Stark changes immediately. The Stark changes, I think, will happen over time. But I do expect those Stark changes to happen, including, who knows, at this point, the sale is on the table. Like, it genuinely is way more on the table than it ever was before. Uncertainty. Cincy in the chat says, wrestling news crazy the last few weeks. Oh my god, last few years have been insane. Like CM Punk coming back, AEW, like all this stuff. Leading up to this, like, this is the biggest story in the history of at least modern WrestleMania era beyond. Biggest story in professional wrestling, no doubt. Last chat here. Gonna have to watch SmackDown clips later. LOL. You and me both, brother. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, joining me. Again, I will definitely be doing more of these throughout the weekend. We'll be dropping videos talking about it as well, like one-off videos. But in the meantime, be happy, be healthy. Do me a favor, though. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. It helps out the channel, helps us grow, and it helps my self-esteem, and I would really appreciate that, guys. So please do that, but be happy, be healthy, be safe, and be ready for change. We'll see you later.